Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Ring cameras and doorbells. A lot happens while you're away from home. That's why Ring makes it easy to check in from anywhere. Whether you're saying hi to an unexpected guest, making sure those packages are safe, or keeping your pets company while you're out grabbing groceries. It's all a few taps away, right from your phone. Be there with Ring. Explore cameras, doorbells, alarm kits, and more right now at ring.com.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. This is my weekly meal plan episode. If you're new here, this is just a really quick episode that comes out every Wednesday where I share my family's meal plan with you for the upcoming week. There is also a blog post on my website at lolasfrugallife.com where I share links to any of the recipes that I might mention in this episode. So this week's meal plan starts on Saturday, September 14th. On Saturday, I am making baked ziti. Big ziti 2, which is from allrecipes.com. This is just a very basic ziti recipe. It's basically ziti, ricotta, mozzarella cheese, egg, and sauce. And then I'm also going to make Chef John's Italian meatballs with that, which is also from allrecipes.com. These meatballs are baked in the oven. They come out pretty quick and easy. I like to make them, I like to get the ziti going, and then I get the ziti out of the oven, and then I put the meatballs in. I kind of prepare the meatballs while the ziti's cooking, because then the ziti has to sit for like 20 minutes to cool. So then I bake the meatballs while the ziti's cooling, and then everything kind of comes out at the same time. I'm probably going to make sauce for this with tomatoes we have left from our garden. We froze a whole bunch of them, and I think we have enough to make another batch of sauce. So I'm probably going to do that to go with this meal. For Sunday, I'm going to be doing oven-baked chicken, which is from bettycrocker.com. I always make this with bone-in chicken thighs. I think it comes out really good that way. This is a really easy recipe to make. It takes a little bit of time to bake, but you basically just take bone-in chicken, you dredge it in some Bisquick mix and season it with some salt and pepper, and then you just put it in a baking dish. Well, you melt butter in the baking dish, and then you put the chicken in, skin side down, bake it, flip the chicken, bake it longer, and it comes out really delicious and crispy. For a side, I'm going to be doing some frozen vegetables and Chef John's Perfect Mashed Potatoes, which is also from allrecipes.com. It's not really much of a recipe. It's more just a technique on cooking the potatoes. It just kind of tells you like how long to boil them and how to cook them, how to like mash them up. Like, you know, one of the things it tells you to do is put the potatoes back in the pot with the heat on after you drain them, and just kind of mix them around to get some of the water out. So that does seem to make a difference. I think then it allows it to absorb the milk or cream or seasonings or whatever you're putting in there a little bit better. So I do like to kind of follow that method to make the mashed potatoes. For Monday, we're going to be doing Jenny-O's Best Ever Meatloaf. This is from jennyo.com. This is a turkey meatloaf recipe. It's just what I've always been making since my kids were younger, and they all like it, so that's what we always make. And as a side dish, I'm going to be making some shells and cheese, just like some boxed shells and cheese, and some frozen vegetables, whatever I happen to have in the freezer to go with that meal. Tuesday is our Mexican theme meal. This week we are doing tacos. So I don't really have a recipe to share for that one. I just cook up some ground beef, season it with some seasoned salt and some chili powder. I'm even too lazy to use the taco mix anymore. And then I just put out like some shredded cheese, some taco shells, some sour cream, avocado, lettuce, tomato, all that kind of stuff. And everyone can make their own tacos. For Wednesday, for our seafood night, I'm actually going to be trying out a new recipe. It's called sheet pan salmon with sweet potatoes and broccoli. It's from eatingwell.com. This looks so good. I'm hoping that it comes out really good. It's basically just like a typical sheet pan meal where you put like the salmon and the potatoes and all that on a dish, and then you bake it all together. Although it's funny, as I'm looking at my actual recipe that I downloaded, it doesn't look like it even gives me the full recipe. Sometimes that happens, like every once in a while when I import into my recipe app, it doesn't give like the full instructions, but I will be posting the link to the actual recipe on the website. So if that sounds like something you might want to try, there'll be the link to the actual recipe where you can get the full instructions for making that. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to try that one. For Thursday, I'm going to start back up with our soups. I haven't done them in a while, but I do soup a lot of times on Thursdays. So this week we're going to be doing zuppa toscana, which is Italian sausage potato soup from marginmakingmom.com. One of our listeners actually shared this recipe with me on our Facebook group. I believe it was in the Facebook group. I'm almost 100% positive it was in that group. And this is like one of my favorite recipes. It's so good and it's so easy. And I love making Instant Pot soups. So that's an Instant Pot recipe. So we'll be doing that for Thursday. And then Friday is just our hamburger night. We do that every other Friday. So I will just be cooking up some hamburgers. I don't have a recipe to share. I just will be using some ground beef, making it into patties, cooking it up in the frying pan, and then making some oven fresh seasoned potato wedges on the side. That's from allrecipes.com. And just a can of pork and beans. So that's it for this week's meal plan. Like I said, you can find this full meal plan along with links to any recipes that I mentioned and all my previous weekly meal plans on my website at lolasfrugallife.com. So that is it for this week. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes and definitely all of my meal plan episodes at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.